Hello everyone. Welcome to today's unusual astrology, what we're going to be doing today. And feels like a very busy Venus time, so much going on. But this is intuitively where the journey has taken me, in quite an unusual direction. You can never script these things really. What we're going to be doing today is working with the timelines of our space-time continuum. So we're not going to be doing very much normal astrology at all, but we're more going to be like entering into the other world, or the fabric of time and space. We're going to be doing something called a path working, which is like a traditional way that priests and priestesses access other dimensions. So that's something new I've never done in this particular class, but the priestess tradition I'm from, Kabbalistic tradition, uses these path workings as ways of, they're like portals into other dimensions and other worlds, and they help us like change things on invisible inner levels. So that's what I love about being a priestess. You don't have to be out there. You can be in here in our imaginations doing all this amazing kind of transformational work. Okay, so I just want to go back a couple of weeks, when I was in Wales, and had a kind of really mystical experience. Wales, by the way, is associated with Gene Key 26. It's really steeped in magic. You know, most people know the UK for Glastonbury and the more well-known places, but actually Wales is like so steeped in magic. Like you just feel like you're in an otherworld portal there. And so we went on this journey camping in the rain, and quite unexpectedly discovered that the first place we went beneath the mountains was where Merlin, who's a wizard, went as a child. And the other place that we went is where he died, basically. So we found ourselves on this Merlin journey. What's quite interesting as well is that Richard Rudd happened to be at Bardsey Island, the second place, at the same time. I didn't see him, but I thought it was very interesting. His energy was there as a real kind of white wizard archetype, as I'm seeing him in this moment. So yeah, one of the things we're going to do today is really tune into this white wizard archetype, which I then discovered is our galactic New Year, blueprinting, which Patricia told us about. So there is another video in the classes on that if you want to go back and find out more about that. But basically to say we're all working with this white wizard energy this year. So I had felt drawn to take this book I've had for many years. It's called The Ladies of the Lake, by Caitlin and John Mathews. And it has 9 ladies of the lake who are different archetypes in this Celtic otherworld. And what's very interesting in these Celtic stories is that these otherworldly women are often orchestrating a lot of what the Knights of the Holy Grail are doing. So even though the masculine is there on the outside doing all these things, it's actually these otherworldly feminine archetypes who are really influencing and guiding and directing what's going on. And the one we're going to tune into today is called Nimue. And she's said to be the goddaughter or the daughter sometimes of Diana, the huntress, who we'll be more familiar with. And I know she's come up in astrology before. So, and she came up in Sedna as well. You know, female huntresses are quite an unusual archetype. They have a strong inner masculine element. You know, they're very independent. They often don't marry, so they have this very kind of maiden energy about them, a kind of new moon energy. So Nimue is one of these 9 archetypes, and we may or may not meet any others, but I feel really strongly that we're going to meet Nimue because she is the one who's very much connected with this white wizard energy. And classically, people, you know, she's often depicted as like a femme fatale kind of archetype who imprisoned Merlin in a glass tower. But the authors of this book, Caitlin and John Mathews, they're very well respected shamanistic writers, and they talk about her more as a guardian of Merlin's energy, and Merlin kind of goes into this retreat sleep. So you know, we should always be aware when feminine archetypes are being depicted in a negative way, that sometimes that's a kind of you know, it's a cultural slant on that archetype. And if you go back into it more deeply, you tend to find a purer archetype. So I'm kind of seeing Nimue as a guardian of the timelines, I guess. Okay, so coming up to the present moment, I've been really thinking about this thing about who's controlling time. This is all part of mine astrology. Jose Arguelles, his whole thing was about restoring us to natural time and breaking out of the kind of patriarchal way that time controls us. And yesterday I went to this really interesting museum where basically it's this place, Port Curnow, is where these huge cables went under the sea. And the first place they went to was America. So established this like global communication link. And before that, we just had like Morse code telegraphs. So this was like a huge breakthrough. And one of the ways they did this is it went via the St. Helens Islands. I have no idea where those are, but basically the message goes to the St. Helens Islands, and then it's kind of re-encoded, and then it goes to America. But in order to achieve this, these huge grandfather clocks were put in place, and they kind of synchronize time. And it kind of reminded me of this whole sort of idea that we are synchronized to a false time, and we're trying to return now to a more natural time, and we all have our own circadian rhythms in our body and in our clocks. And you know, so as women as well, we can synchronize our periods. Not that I have them anymore, but when you live in a house of women, you'll often synchronize our periods together. So one of my intentions I feel called for today, as part of our Venus cycle, is to synchronize into natural time and also into this otherworldly dimension. So I mentioned yesterday that usually we only work with 7 Venus moon gates in the cycle, but this time we're going to work with the other 2, which are invisible gates, i.e. they happen when we can't see them from Earth. And it feels like they are calling because they help us access the other world. And chakra-wise, they relate to the star chakra above our head and the earth star chakra that connects us more deeply into Gaia's consciousness. So that's another part of this whole story. And it's so funny. I've been like talking about mercurial things on the way to the museum, and then discovered that the main ship that did this wiring was called Mercury. And I looked up where Mercury was yesterday, and it was at 47 line 1, which is my life work, basically. So it was like, oh my God. And also linked, if I know quite a few of us here have the cross of rulership, so it's linked to the 26 energy, and it is that very, transformation of the 47 energy. So yeah, so this whole sort of story about that, and Kristen mentioned she'd watched something that talked about the connection of the Venus cycle now with 1987 and the harmonic convergence. And that's actually also when the World Wide Web went live. So I'm feeling in the field like this potential for like increased harmonization, global, like almost like telepathic communication. Yeah, so Laurie's put in St. Helena's Island is the southwest coast of Africa. Thank you for that bit of information. Okay, so have I missed anything out here? So just going back to our intention for doing this is to enter into the timelines of space, time, to, as priestesses, almost like reclaim those timelines from any misuse or corruption that's going on with them. We want to kind of empower the white wizard energy. And also we may feel when we're in this glass tower we're going to go into, that if we see white wizard energy either in ourselves or in others in the world, that we might want to restrain it in this glass tower until it's mature enough to be kind of safe in the world. One of the things about Merlin in this particular myth with Nimue is he keeps making sexual advances towards her, which are unwelcome. So there's this kind of perhaps energy, that can be a distortion as well, but there can be this energy of the masculine misusing its power, maybe also using it just for selfish gain in the world or to get more power. So we want to like really make an intention, I feel, to purify the white wizard energy. So we're going to begin with one of our lovely sound journeys, and we're going to tune in with Kiki. Hello, Kiki. Welcome. And we'll just see, just close our eyes. Not if you're driving the car, though. But just receive the sound and let us carry us into this other world, this other dimension. Even though we're females, we also carry this white wizard, this masculine energy within ourselves. And our prayer is that our work here brings more diversity, clean air, clean water, enriched soil, so many species of animals, global peace between humans, from these invisible, beautiful realms that we are stepping into. Welcome, magical cat energies. May divine will, virtue of heart, guide us on this journey. So I invite you, if it's safe, to close your eyes and listen to this path working. It's written by Caitlin and John Mathews from the book called The Ladies of the Lake. And it's called The Tower of Glass. Close your eyes and enter a quiet place within you, from which you may journey forth into the realms of the other world. See before you the rough, gnarled trunks of two great trees, between which you see the tangled ways of a mighty forest, a mixture of shadowed rides and sun-illuminated clearings. Step between the trees and walk ahead, letting your steps lead you where they will, until you hear, distantly at first, but growing gradually stronger, the calling of the birds. High and silvery, their voices penetrate deep within you, drawing you deeper and deeper into the forest. Gradually, the land on which you walk rises until you are climbing through the great bastions of the trees, clinging to root and branch to pull yourself up. Panting, you arrive at the level space and see before you a tall tower sparkling in the sunlight. But this is no ordinary tower of stone and mortar. The sun reflects back from it in dazzling rays, for its walls are of gleaming glass. For a moment you stand bemused by the sight, then you go forward towards an arched entrance leading within. Surprisingly, the interior of the tower is dim, the walls opaque. Sunlight strikes through, but is somehow caught, filtered, and turned back again. Outside, all is brilliance and glittering light. Within, there is a cool, diffuse glow. A stairway leads upwards, curving to the right around a softly iridescent glowing wall, and you follow it upward for a long time. At length you find yourself in a circular room, the walls of which shimmer and seem at times translucent, at others opaque. In the centre sits a figure weaving at an ancient loom. Her hair is long and black, her face pale. She wears a dress of many colours which shift like a rainbow, showing now blue, now yellow, now red, now violet, with many subtle shifts between. The pattern of her weaving is beyond description. A being of light and colour, endlessly shifting and changing. You see shapes there as you look, but they are gone before you are able to grasp their significance. Without pausing in the swift movements of shuttle and weft, the woman looks up at you, scanning you with such penetration that you feel naked before her. Then abruptly she stands up, and though her hands are removed from the warp and web, yet the shuttle continues to move, even faster now it seems. The lady beckons you to follow her to the side of the room, from where you look out through a window of clear glass in the fabric of the tower. Below is the forest, spreading far into the distance. Yet now its mood is autumnal. The leaves have turned to deepest bronze, and strong winds snatch them and drive them into mounds on the forest floor. Then Nimue, for she it is, raises a hand and opens a door in the tower before her. She walks through and you follow in her wake, trusting yourself to her guidance. She moves more swiftly than you could have imagined, and caught in her train you are drawn after her into the sky itself, and there before you you see a second tower, like the first radiating light, but this time set amid points of starlight. Within the tower all is bright, warmed by the morning star of Venus, as though the darkness without were compressed and turned about to form a border of light. Again the stair leads you upwards until you enter a room identical to the one in the earthly tower. Yet there are two differences. Here in the loom is still, and a woven cloth almost completed is stretched in its frame. And beside it on a great bed lies the figure of a sleeping man whose age is beyond calculation, and whose sleeping face possesses such beauty that you are breathless at the sight. A suspicion as to the identity of the sleeper enters your mind, and you seem to hear Nimue's voice in your ears. Yet this is indeed Merlin who sleeps here until the time for his waking dawns. It was not I who placed him here, nor is it I who keep him. I am the guardian only. And when the time is right, I shall wake him again. Now Nimue moves to stand before the loom and bids you look upon her work. You hear her words. I am she who weaves all threads into a pattern that none may read save one, and that my brother Merlin. Yet the weaving is almost finished, and because you have come here with me, you may look upon the pattern and see one thing that you desire to see. Look well, for only once is this offer made. You look at the woven cloth, and there, amid the pattern so complex that your eyes cannot read it, is a single glowing picture, a scene perhaps, or words that mean something to you alone. Look with care and remember what you see, for this opportunity will not come again. When you have looked and understood, What is there for you to see? You follow the lady of the web once again to the door of the tower. Only somehow it is no longer set amidst the starry sky, but opens again onto the greenwood where you began your journey. A few last words she speaks to you. I am the keeper of wisdom, the bespeller of night and day, the queen who rules over time and space in the wood of wonders. Remember well your journey and all that you have learned. It is only part of the mystery of the nine, which you will come to know better. As her words ring in your ears, you walk forward and pass almost at once between the gnarled trunks of the two great trees. Your consciousness shifts and you again in the room from which you began this journey to the realms of the otherworld. Take time to recover and write down anything you wish of your time in the Tower of Glass. So I'm just going to be quiet here for a few minutes just to allow us time to come back and to make any notes of your journey, anything that appeared to you as we penetrate into the other world. As priestesses, this other world feels a great place to hang out and create intention and invite creativity. So this first of these 9 gates, which correlate with the star chakra gate, will be on Thursday. So there's going to be an opportunity between 8, it might go on till 10, but it might finish earlier depending on how many people come, to do some neurographic art around all these themes we've been exploring, but especially I feel this sort of penetration of other dimensions and tuning into like our own circadian rhythm at this time feels so important. You know, just noticing if there's a metaphoric grandfather clock. It may be a person, it may be a pressure from somewhere else that is kind of distorting your experience of being happy and relaxed and timeless. So if you feel under time pressure, stop and notice where that pressure is coming from. In human design, they say it comes from the root chakra, actually, and I can believe that. So I feel that. So yeah, so just before we share, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, you can join these calls as part of being a member of Soul Tribe. So yeah, you can email me, or I'll put the link to Soul Tribe online, and you can join in the live calls. And I'm going to stop the recording now so that we can share our experience. So, namaste. Goodbye, everyone watching up to now.